What's going on to those joining me live? Gonna have to do it this way. It's all good though. It's all good. Um, First of all, I want to get this out of the way now. Look at this map, right? Just look at this map right now. Look at it. Let's start in the left. All right, if you go to the left, you have Palestinian and Jewish land in 1946. The white was land given to the Jewish people. The green was Palestinian land. All right. In 1947, what they call the UN partition land of 1947, the white is the Jewish land, the green is the Palestinian land. From 1949 to 1967, if you look at the white, was what is then became Israel, the state of Israel, began to expand even more, creating more settlements and taking more Palestinian land. And if you look at the year 2000, you see that from 1967 to the year 2000, how much more land was taken from the Palestinians. And you could also see the separation of Gaza, right, to the rest of Palestine. You know how difficult it is if there's family members on each side to see each other. This was 2000. The settlements have not ended, right? The settlements have not ended. So just look at that map, and here's all I ask. Okay, it's not that complicated, really. I mean, all I'm really asking is, can it be explained to me why Israel has a right to take these lands? What I just want to know. I just wanted to explain to me, right? Because first of all, Peter Baker of the New York Times reports, undeterred by resounding defeat at the United Nations, Israel's government said Monday that it would move ahead with thousands of new homes in East Jerusalem and warned nations against further action, declaring that Israel does not, quote unquote, turn the other cheek. Just a few days after the United Nations Security Council voted to condemn Israeli settlements, Jerusalem's municipal government signaled that it would not back down. The city intends to approve 600 housing units, predominantly predominantly Palestinian eastern section of the town, on Wednesday, in what a top official called a first installment on 5,600 new homes. Now notice this. No one is saying, go away, Israel. Let's exterminate Israel. Let's take away Israeli land. Nobody's saying that. All they're saying is stop creating these settlements on Palestinian land. That's it. Can you stop creating the damn settlements? Can you stop the land grabbing? It's not that complicated of a concept. The concept really is not that complicated. But somehow it's twisted into, if you don't think Israel has a right to take away Palestinian land, then you're an anti-Semite. You're anti-Jewish. The UN is anti-Jewish. This is why the UN made this decision. So New Zealand, right, going against Israel here, and Israel says you're declaring war. Like New Zealand has a stake on this. They must be anti-Jewish. This is ridiculous. Right? Are you kidding me? This is beyond ridiculous. Nobody's saying stop existing, go away, get destroyed. They're saying stop taking land that's not yours. That's it. The concept isn't that complicated, is it? Does everyone just have it in against them? You know, like is it that, or are they just being unreasonable? Which one is it? Can you explain? Let me bring the map back up, right? Because again, I'm going to bring the map back up, and I just wanted to explain. All right, that's it. Just explain it to me. Explain this to me. Explain why, after you've taken away so much land, I just want to explain who gave you, why would the UN be against Israel if in the year after they were given some land in 1946, in 1947, the UN partition land gave Israel all that land in white. And then from there, they just began to pick apart land after land after land. The far right is the year 2000. There's less green than that now. How much more do you need? Do you need all of it or what? And don't bring up things that are unrelated to this specific matter. Everything is cause and effect. Everything. So whenever someone brings up, Israel is just defending themselves. First of all, taking away land that's not yours, which is a form of hostility. It's an aggressive, move to take away land from somebody. All right, that's aggression. But saying we do that, we have a right to do it because Hamas. It's explain this to me. I mean, Israel right now is saying, even without the permission of the U.S. and other nations in the UN, is saying, no, we're going to take land anyway. You guys, you just hate Jews. That's why you're ruled against us. And people say, no, well, Israel has a right to do what they want, right? All right, so in that case, I never want to hear Israel stick their nose on the Iran deals and saying why Iran doesn't abide by UN rule and this, that, and the third. Then I don't want to hear Israel anymore talk about any other nation, okay? When Israel was out there saying, oh, yeah, the war in Iraq, we got to do it, right? Okay, so they need to stay the fuck, so stop being hypocrites then. That's number one. Number two, numero dos. For those that argue, no, Israel has a right to take that land. Okay, other than the Bible, which a lot of you thump out, other than that, what else you got? What do you got? First, it was the UN that gave them most of the land, okay? And it was the nations right now that are ruling against them that helped them get this fucking land. So you tell me, all right, the ones that helped them get the land in the first place, you tell me who then is giving Israel the authority to just take this land? Who's giving it to them? Well, you could make two arguments. You could either, one, present to me some factual information that does, in fact, by rule of law, give Israel the ability and the right to take that land, which I don't know where those documents are. Right? Can somebody show them to me? Present them to me? Give me the link and the source and where this information came from? Or two, you can make the argument, B, you could say, hey, Hey, they're bigger, they're badder, they're tougher than Palestine. If Palestine doesn't like it, they could do something about it, right? It's not their fault that they're bigger and they're badder and all this, that, and the third. Well, two problems with that. Number one, then you're admitting that this is a war. You're admitting that they are the aggressors. That's problematic. Number two, the only reason they're able to be big, bad, and tough is because, the United States does things like, I don't know, give them $38 billion and an Iron Dome, give it to them by fucking Barack Obama, right? Give them all these shields against terrorist attacks and, the whole nine. We helped them build that badass military they got. So why are they still taking welfare from the United States? If they don't need big bad USA. First of all, if the US stopped backing up Israel, you would notice right away, right? Believe me, I wouldn't be there that long. They're not liked anywhere around that region. And the only reason, they haven't disappeared is because the US is backing them, right? And the nations that have told them, hey, cut the shit out. Okay, like we already tilt the shit to your favor. Stop fucking being greedy, motherfucker. Stop taking those lands. That's all they're telling them. Well, is that a threat against it? No. First of all, the U.S. is never going to just say, okay, no, we're done, right? And Israel believes they never will. Okay, but to a certain degree, we could put sanctions on them. We can't say, you know what, you're not going to get these $38 billion for your military. You're not going to get this money anymore, right? Unless you actually abide by international law, which is really the reason for your existence to begin with. If you look back in history, that's the truth. So when people say, no, the UN, they're just anti-Jewish or anti-Semites over there. Really? That's funny. That's very funny, especially given the fact that most globalist conspiracies are that the Jews and the Zionists over there in Israel control the UN. Isn't it funny how this shit works? A lot of you guys got to figure this shit. I mean, if you go talk to David Duke over there thinks Israel controls everything in the whole world. David Duke's wrong about a lot of things. He's actually right about what they're doing to the Palestinians, though. I can tell you that much. Right? But I digress. Explain this map. Look at that map. You think that's fair? You think that's fair? And you think it's fair that they keep taking more and more and more and more? And they tell them to cut it out. They label you an anti-Semite. You're anti-Jewish. But no, nobody, at least not, I'm not saying destroy Israel. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying cut it the fuck out. And anyone who argues, no, you're full of shit. You're brainwashed. You believe this because you're listening to the media. And let me tell you something, man. Okay. First of all, we need to read reports and listen to reports. We can't just ignore them, right? Number two, I have yet to be giving information to the contrary. I'm open to information. Provide it to me. That's all I'm saying. What is your argument for Israel having a right to take away this land? I want to hear the argument for it. What is it? I want to know. I honestly, I do. I want to know what the argument is. Right? I mean, they already have a lion's share by far of the land right now. I understand the nuance here. When someone says, well, Israel keeps getting bombed and this, that, and the third, they want peace. They do a lot of great things for Muslims and, but they want peace, but the Palestinians they don't stop. They're not going to be satisfied until Israel is eradicated from existence or something like that, right? And there is some truth to radical groups saying, they want to eradicate Israel from existence, like groups like Hamas and, stuff like that. And that type of talk is definitely not productive. It's not good. They're not in that position anyway, right? But the facts are one side is being eradicated from existence, but it's not Israel, right? The only thing the nations are saying, like the U.S., for example, is, look, we'll make sure nothing happens to you, but can you, in the meantime, can you cut it out? Can you stop that? Can you stop taking away more land? Right? But we're the U.S. Believe me, we know all about land and grabbing and stealing land. We know all about that. We're experts at that. Can you just stop that? We know it when we see it. Can you stop? That's it. That's all we're saying. Is it historically hypocritical? Sure, it is. But still, you know, I think we know land grabbing when we see it. We know it very well. So can you stop that? You know, and they need to recognize Palestine once and for all as a state. We have yet to have a president to come out and say, I recognize Palestine as a state. Like, they'll say things like, I support peace and blah, 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 blah. But they've never gone all out, right? There can be peace. Peace can be achieved. President Carter did it with Egypt and Israel, right? It could be done. But there's going to have to be some give and take. And right now, it's been nothing but give for Israel in their favor. Right? Is that going to take some concession from the Palestinian side? Of course. Supporting groups like Hamas is not productive, right? But let me tell you some situations that require a lot of nuance, right? Where I believe both sides are fucked up. Let me put it to this way. So a lot of times people don't tell you both sides. You always get one side, and it's always either Israel is all bad or Palestine is all bad. You know, either you're an anti-Semite or you're not. You know, it always seems to be like one or the other. But, you know, there are times where Hamas decides, you know, they get funneled in some missiles or something, right? Which is one of the reasons Obama hooked them up with the Iron Dome, right? And it's done wonders for Israel. And they'll shoot a missile, which most of the time doesn't kill anybody, but it's still an act of aggression. I get that, right? Because if you look at the death count, it's not even close. Nowhere near close. The problem is that when that happens, Israel responds, all right, with a lot of military force, right? They respond with tanks. They respond with airstrikes. They blow up homes. They blow up hospitals, right? They do a lot of damage. They're very powerful militarily. We know this. We give them that military. We hook them up, right? Now, on one hand, you could say, well, look, I mean, Hamas is being aggressive. I get it. And I understand that what's the right thing to do is a little more complicated than that. I get it. But the answer has to be somewhere in the middle of, you know, nothing and blowing everything up. The right answer has to be somewhere in the middle. Because all you do when you just blow everything up, you blow up hospitals, and you always hear the arguments, right? Well, hey, the guys from Hamas, they hide in hospitals and schools and stuff like that. We gotta target them. It's their fault they're hiding there. So hey, we gotta blow those hospitals up. So you have sick people there and kids there, and they get killed. But at the same time, I've also seen situations where they blow Palestinian kids playing soccer, right, in the beach, where there was no signs of any member of Hamas being around. And sometimes these bombings are relentless, like relentless bombings. And then eventually they agree to like a ceasefire, and then everything calms down, and then it's inevitable something else happens, right? But what's what's the solution here? It's going to be a lot harder, right, than people think, but we haven't been going the positive direction for decades. Right? Everything's getting worse rather than getting better. It is. Now peace was achieved with Egypt and Israel, and it was still very complicated, and it got done, but not as complicated as this. I get that, right? But it shows you that it could be done, right? So number one, just for starters, not taking away land from the Palestinians is a very good start. Not, this constant creation of settlements is a very good start. They need to stop these illegal settlements. It's not helping the situation. It's not calming anything down. It's just convincing Palestinians that we're nothing and Israel's being aggressive, and it's going to make them far more militant. That's what's going to happen. All right? Man, Israel has a lot of power. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. And they have some very good allies who, even when they rule against them, are still going to back them up. That the U.S. is still going to back them up no matter what, right? But if we don't stop them from just constantly creating illegal settlement after illegal settlement, none of this is ever going to get better. It just isn't. All right? And the more and the less and less land you leave them with, right, the more you're going to see missiles going your way, suicide bombers. I mean, put yourself in the position of a Palestinian kid living anywhere in Palestine right now, feeling hopeless, of people that lost their homes because of Israelis, of people that had their home crushed right in front of them by bulldozers. How would you feel? Right? Israel right now is the occupying force. They just are. You mix that with people that feel hopeless, of course you're going to have, what you like to call a terrorist attack here and there. Of course it's going to happen. What do you think is going to happen? Right? So there's a lot of blame to go around, and it's a very complex situation. It's very complicated. But I do know this. The illegal settlements, they need to stop. And they need to stop ASAP. That's what I do know. Right? And if you believe, no, Israel has a right to those lands. Okay. Explain to me why they have a right to take these lands. I just wanted to explain. It's really that simple. How did they go from the second picture there to the left to the far right one? And why did Israel have the right to take that land? I want to know the argument. Because the only argument I ever hear is, no, well, that's Israel's land. The Bible says it's your land. Oh, really? You have anything else? You have people. You have Christians in this country, in the U.S. And I'm not even talking like, a little small friends group. No. I've seen pastors at these huge mega churches with like 4,000 or 5,000 people, like watching them give a sermon, talk about this Israeli-Palestinian thing. Oh, and if Obama, just says one critical thing about Israel, like, maybe they should stop taking some of that land. Oh my God, they have a field day with that, right? Some hurricane happened because Obama went against Israel, right? Or like, and that's, I'm not even joking when I say that. I'm not being sarcastic. That's what they say, right? Obama said something critical about Israel, and look what happened. The wrath of God hit Oklahoma with a hurricane, or I don't know, whatever. Earthquake. Well, it had nothing to do with fracking. No, it was the wrath of God. Okay. And you hear them give these sermons like, no, this has to happen. This is God's will. It's God's will. What about the Palestinians? Hey, the Palestinians, sorry, it's God's will. All that land needs to go to Israel. It's prophecy. It says it in the Bible that Israel will be one once again, or something like that. I don't know. Oh, because it says it in the Bible. Interesting. Now, I'm not sure if Netanyahu over there, all right, but believes that or not. I don't know. The Zionists over there in Israel aren't really, biblical or anything like that. But it's a good reason, right? It's a good reason. Apparently, this has to happen. The eradication of Israel has to happen. And if you think, it doesn't really affect that, does it? Well, yeah. That's why when Obama gives them $38 billion. So for those that say, no, I don't care about what's happening around the world. I only care about the U.S. They're giving them $38 billion of our taxpayer money. So I don't know if you know this. Every presidential debate, I don't know about the last one, but before the last one was a fucking joke anyway. But and almost every congressional debate, Senate debate, almost all of them, they ask them about Israel. And it's almost bipartisan. Oh, Israel must be protected at all costs. Right? Because their constituents take that very serious. Right? If you go against Israel, they're not going to vote for you. All right? Even like guys like David Duke that, go all out, for a lot of these same type of voters, it doesn't get support from them because he goes against Israel. Right? Now, David Duke's a whole nother animal altogether. All right. Okay. The amount of people that believe, when you ask them about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, those that side with Israel usually, cite the Bible for their reason. And that is ridiculous, man. Right? I mean, that's insane. Like, are you shitting me? So those are my thoughts on that, right? And it's a serious question. What gives Israel the right to take all this land? Okay, you can label the UN, whatever you call the UN, anti-Semite. You can call the US, you could call Obama anti-Semite. You can label me anti-Semite. I just want to know what gives them the right to take away more Palestinian land. That's it. That's all I want to know. Why is it the right? I just want to know that. If Palestinians are already living there, what gives them the right to destroy their homes and get them out of there? That's all I want to know. All right. Very simple question. I'm out.